In the studio, publisher and public affairs commentator Oluwaseyi Adeyemo. It's nice to have you join me.
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning.
Great.
Thank you.
Now, we have seen in the last couple of years, since the beginning of the last administration, we've seen some level of investment in reviving the rail transport. But this administration has taken it to another level. You know, we've seen the materialization of some of these projects that have been on ground for some time. Now, when it comes to rail transport, considering a developing country like Nigeria, how pivotal is rail transport for us?
For me, any country, anywhere in the world, rail transportation is very pivotal. Because the truth of the matter is, there are certain things you can transport on road. The way the rail is structured is meant to carry heavy, every load. It is probably the most predictable transportation. You're able to say to yourself, I can get to this point at this particular time. And you need such means of transportation in any society, whether it's developing or developed. For instance, in Nigeria right now, we're able to make certain things happen because, now we have rail. The one between Lagos and Ibadan is, for me, going to turn around the economy of Lagos State, Ogun State, and Oyo State. Yeah. Because the truth of the matter is, you can then start having Nigerians live in Ogun State, live in Oyo State, and work in Lagos.
Work in Lagos, okay.
You know, because then you're able to say to yourself, at a particular time, I will be in Lagos, and at a particular time, I'll be back to my home. Now, that is not possible with road transportation. That is probably possible with waterways, but unfortunately, I'm not sure that we are able to connect Lagos and Oyo or Ogun on water. So in Nigeria, rail transportation is probably the best that, and I'm surprised that we had to wait for this long for us to reactivate it, because at the end of the day, this means of transportation was actually activated by our colonial masters in the 1990s, and I'm sorry, 1900, because it was 1895 that it was actually built. Now, I'm surprised that we waited this long for us to reactivate it, because when coal was discovered in Odi, immediately Odi was connected. The Eastern Line was connected, because it was obvious that the best way to do, and the fact that you can put your load and people at the same time, you can connect different wagons at the same time. It's also very, very dynamic. So for me, I'm happy that at least we have activated the Abuja, Kaduna, and Lagos, Ibadan, corridor.
Okay. Now, in the 80s, parts of the 70s and the 80s, we had, a very efficient rail system in the country. And then eventually in the 90s, it went under. And then it's coming back now. From the perspective or window of maintenance, because it is always said, or often said, that Nigerians or Nigeria is not very good at maintaining and keeping some of these things going. What should we be looking at?
Now, one of the factors I like to throw in when a discussion like this comes up is the fact that when you pay people well, when you put the managers of a system like this, you put them on your priority list. At the end of the day, you would maintain that system, that equipment, that whatever you're doing well. Now, so let me be very explicit. I wonder sometimes when I go on the road, and what I see is those who sweep our roads and take care of them are very worn out people, tired, old, and I'm wondering, is it that we do not consider the cleanliness of our road a priority? So if you have a system like this, that is such a system that will help development, build our economy, makes our life better security-wise, because at the end of the day, the reason why there's insecurity is because you have too many people in a particular place. You can then spread them around. I imagine that we will prioritize the maintenance of a facility like this or an infrastructure like this, because at the end of the day, if it works, it's for all of our good.
Exactly.
And so whoever is in the value chain, who is working in maintaining the engineers and all of that, because you see, sometimes I wonder, it has to be in the hands of the foreigners, because right now it is the Chinese that is maintaining it. And look, Nigerians will do equally good job, if not better job, if you take care of them. And the example I normally give is our banks. So I remember the days we used to go and wait in those old banks. I don't want to mention names right now. And you wait for the whole day.
Exactly.
Because you want to do a banking transaction. Or the days when we would all run around after those who carry ladder to come and disconnect our phone lines. You remember the days we used to go and wait at Nitel. But you see, as long as you make something efficient, as long as you pay people and make sure that they get proper remuneration from what they're doing. Look, every one of us, at the end of the day, we just want to feed our family and feed ourselves. So as long as you make that happen and you give us the required training, you'll be shocked at how everybody can actually be efficient. So for me, my first suggestion is all of those who are going to be working, engineers, to train drivers, and everyone, those who clean the stations and all of that, make sure that you put them at a level that is commensurable with what they're doing, because they're actually occupying a very pivotal position. Look, let me quickly drop this in. Do you know that one of the best jobs people in their days used to look forward to? You know, they will probably say, do you know I work in the railways?
Exactly.
You know, so because
that was the prestige at the time.
It was a prestigious job. So when we start to drop the prestige, the natural thing is that the care, the desire, the zeal, the drive to go to work in the morning. I was here early this morning, and I know that everybody was here before I got here. It's because there's a drive, and that is what we need to sustain and have in all these areas as well.
Talk to us about the issue of private sector involved, because you're talking about maintenance. When things are left in the hands of government, we see how everybody, the approach to it is not as detailed, as meticulous as when you know it is a private sector and then there's going to be demand for return on investment and things like that. Talk to us about the issue of private sector involvement in the rail transport sector.
Interestingly, I'm one of those who believe that we cannot completely leave this in the hands of private people, and we cannot completely leave it in the hands of government. Okay. Now, the first thing is public transportation is a responsibility of government, because it sits in the, like you said in your prelude, it sits in, at a very pivotal position in developing a state, a society, a people. You cannot move people around. You cannot move goods around without transportation. Now, I'm a Briton. I come into Nigeria. I don't need to know anybody, like you do in the UK. You just go pick up a map, and you should be able to move around and at an affordable rate. So government owes it to its people and the rest of the world that will eventually visit Nigeria to ensure that anybody that comes into Nigeria or lives in Nigeria are able to move around very efficiently, at the end of the day, very affordably, because that is also very, very important. Yeah. So if you completely leave it in the hands of the private people, they will be driven by profit, and at the end of the day, it will not be as affordable as it ought to be. And since transportation is something that is very essential, you cannot allow profit or profit alone to drive it. But of course, for it to be efficient, you also must factor that in. You must ensure that the required revenue that is necessary to continue to sustain this great investment is ensured, is placed in a very strategic place. Because if you do not do that and you say, it's free for all, anybody can come in and pay whatever they like, it is an automatic means of killing what you have built over time. And a lot of investment have been made in this, and we must remind Nigerians that this is done on credit, and so we must pay up, because at the end of the day, there's a story around the fact that we're selling off our nationality and all of that. But for me, that is a story. bottom line is you need to do what you have to do, and if you need to borrow money, and if you need to engage people, you need to partner. But what you need to do is must do that efficiently and effectively, so that at the end of the day, what is expected to come back to the people, since the people are the center of this, must come back to the people.
All right. Now, if you travel to parts of developed world, you see that the rail system works even intracity within the city itself. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, we've seen Lagos trying to arrange a light rail system,
Blue Line, and all of those
exactly,
lines,
and all of that. Now, we know that not all states can be involved in that right now. But how desirable is the issue of the light rail within the state, especially for a place like Lagos?
No, so like I said again, I mean, because it is the most efficient, you will move more people, you know, so you can move some level of number of people in a bus, you know, so, and that's why those other, you know, countries make sure that they have them, and the bet, you know, it's better for you to move more people at once, you know, so at the end of the day, you know, so you free up the road. You don't have to, I don't have to use my car, you don't have to use your car. When we know that we have an efficient rail system, all of us will board the train like it's done in those developed environments, and at a particular time, a very large number of us will move to the other end and freeze this, you know, it will free this end, and that's what it does. You know, business is better, things are done more efficiently, you achieve more, and people's life are more secured at the end of the day, because you see all of these things are interwoven. Security, economy, and all of those things are closely related. So for me, I'm surprised, because it was Jack Conde who came up with the idea of the Metro line, and up till date we're still struggling with it, but I'm happy that Lagos has taken it on, and I'm praying, I'm one of those who believe in what Lagos is doing, that at the end of the day, before the end of this regime or the next one, we'll be able to have all those light rail working in Lagos, because we definitely need it to have the mega Lagos that we all desire.
All right. Now, in the last couple of months, some people, from the reports we got, some people were involved in vandalizing the rail tracks. We heard some people have been arrested in parts of Kaduna, in parts of Kogi State, you know, and just what the project that government is investing so much money in. Everyone is saying, okay, rail transport system is coming back and all of that. And there are some persons sitting down to vandalize them for whatever reason. Well, maybe it's just the mischief of it. We don't understand. But talk to us about how to monitor security and how to ensure that the installations, you know, are secure over time.
So whether it's mischief or whatever it is a responsibility of me and you when we invest into something. That's why people take insurance policy and all of that. So when you invest into something and you know that thing is going to benefit you, you don't take it for granted. You protect it. In fact, for me, this is good that they've done it on time for us to know that apart from the other security apparatus that we put in place, there's a need to protect the tracks as well. You know, maybe one probably would have thought or given that as something that would never happen. You know, you probably will have been, you know, guarding the stations, you know, and all of that.
Yeah.
But now that we know that they would also go there, then we should, you see, for me, in every society, you'll always have miscreants. You'll always have the wrong people. But it is the responsibility of the right people to make sure that everybody comes on the right lane. So if you know that you don't know how else to feed yourself and your family, or because you're angry, you feel the best way to behave is to pull everything down, then there must be people that would regulate you, that would flog you back to line. And I think it's the responsibility of those who have taken it upon themselves to take up this responsibility and invest this much. It's a big,
Yeah, but looking at it from that perspective, because it's going to cost more now, because if you're looking at, okay, lay the tracks and then let the train work, but there's going to be huge amount of money also dedicated to securing the track, day in, day out.
Can I suggest one of the ways you can actually wade, you know, the way to wade into the security of this? You just make this the property of everyone. You know, so all of the tracks and all of these areas are places where there are societies, there are communities. Now, if you start to let people know that because this track goes through your area, and the economy of that area will go up. You'll be shocked at how the area boys would then protect their area. You know what? When people say area boys, it's actually the owners of that area. They're actually not those who take down that area. Those who take down that area are not the area boys. They are, for me, just bloody miscreants, and they must be taken care of. So what you do is you make sure that everybody that is in that corridor becomes a part of that investment.
Well, we know the Nigerian mindset, where you're giving them a responsibility, to watch over the tracks. Then it will be the issue of, okay, so what is in it for us?
No, yes, you have to,
because you remember the pipelines. Contracts to secure pipelines have been given to people, and they watch it, and billions of money from the reports we got goes into all of that.
Now the point is, because we want billions of money to go into that, that's why it's going to that. Don't be deceived. You cannot have people secure anything if there's nothing in it for them. So it doesn't really have to be remuneration. It could be, and does not necessarily have to be in billions, but the other way to look at it is to also say that business will be created in that corridor. All sort of things will happen in that corridor that people will now start. Look, the reason why this will work in this area is because, all of us will now do more business. For instance, in Calabar, there was a particular time I went there to do something. It was the Calabar Carnival. And I was worried about the way things were going. And, one of the authorities told me that I should not worry myself, that these people know that if Calabar Carnival fails, everybody will pay for it. So everybody then protects it because they see that it is
they have a stake.
Yes, a stake in it. So what we must sit down, our managers must sit down and play up all the stake of everyone on this, or at the end of the day, as long as you do this, then it will fail.
All right, thank you so much, Oluwaseyi Adeyemo, for coming on the program, and all your insight into what we need to do and how we need to do to benefit from all of these. They really stand out. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Right.